Hi, folks. Are we ready to get started?
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Albertans elected our government on our commitment to revitalize our struggling oil and gas industry. As a key economic driver, our energy sector has attracted billions of dollars in private sector investment to our province. It's provided our government with royalties and other revenues and has created countless direct and indirect jobs in Alberta and throughout all of Canada. Now, in order to do all of this, Alberta requires a well-designed and functional single regulator to oversee the environmentally responsible development of our province's oil sands, natural gas, and coal resources. And as we all know, Alberta's oil and gas industry is constantly evolving. And in an industry where time can literally be money, companies need certainty around the projects they intend to develop and the capital they wish to invest. Alberta is competing for capital and investments with other jurisdictions. And frankly, we've heard that our regulatory framework is not competitive. Our project proponents need assurances that when they go to the provincial regulator with their plans and applications, that they can expect a reasonable turnaround. Unfortunately, this has not been the case here in Alberta for the Alberta Energy Regulator for many years. The simple fact is, we've seen the performance of the AER decline over the past few years, even with the regulator hiring more staff. It now takes twice as long to get a non-routine project approved in Alberta compared to Saskatchewan, and nearly 4 times longer than in Texas. And in a province with innovative, fast-moving, and forward-thinking energy sector, we simply cannot afford to be complacent. In recent months, there have been questions about operational efficiencies, executive oversight, and budgetary spending practices at the AER. During the election, we committed to launch a review of the AER within 180 days and to appoint a new board of directors. So today, Minister Nixon and I are announcing 2 items related to the AER.
First, we will be launching a review of the regulator to assess its mandate, as well as operations and governance. Second, we have appointed an interim board of public servants and industry representatives to set the general direction for AER's work. In the spirit of continuous improvement, the objectives of this review is to identify enhancements or required changes to the mandate, system operations, and governance of the AER. Stakeholders' feedback will be sought on mandate and system operations, while expert advice will be provided on governance. To start, we are soliciting public feedback on the mandate and operations of the regulator. This includes consultation with stakeholders, associations, and Indigenous groups. These events are being planned for early October. At the same time, the topic of governance will be explored through individual meetings with governance experts. Their feedback will inform recommendations about the board, CEO accountabilities, and oversight rules on budget, spending, and levies. Finally, interested parties, including members of the public, will have the opportunity to provide input through a dedicated government website. All of these workshops, meeting, and activities will be taking place over the next 6 to 8 months, and this website will be accepting feedback until October 14th. By conducting this review, we are ensuring that all Albertans have a say on how best to improve our energy regulating system while maintaining our high environmental standards for resource development in our province. While this review is ongoing, an interim board composed of public servants and industry experts and representatives will carry out the work of the board of directors by setting the general direction for AER's work. Specific members include the current Deputy Minister of Energy and Environment and Parks, as well as industry experts. For the next 9 months, this interim board will approve regulatory changes and set performance expectations for the AER. We promised Albertans that we would conduct a review of the AER within 180 days, and it's a commitment we're happy to be moving forward with today. We're bringing investment, stability, and certainty back to Alberta by ensuring that resource development in our province continues to occur at world-leading environmental standards. With that, I thank you for being here today, and both Minister Savage and I are happy to take some questions.
Questions?
How are you going to guarantee the independence of the AER when you're mandating this review? And appointing an interim board on this?
Well, the AER will continue to operate with its independence and underneath the rules that are in place. The individuals that are going onto the interim board will keep care of that governance. It'll be separate from the politicians that are involved in this process, as it always is. Nothing would change on the independency of the AER during this process.
Yeah, and look, what we're doing is, the AER came into existence in 2013, and after 6 years, what we want to do is to crack it open, take a look and see if it's actually performing the mandate that it was supposed to be legislated to do. We're going to be taking a look at the governance structure, the mandate. It doesn't have anything to do with the independence of the AER. It's a regular, what governments do regularly is take a look at the efficiency, the mandate of our regulators, and make sure it's working the way it was intended to.
Is there anything specific that leads you to believe that it's not operating the way that it should be right now? That this is more than warranted at this point?
We're taking a look at all of that, and of course, as you know, we've heard, and we heard during the election, and we've continued to hear that timelines their timelines are not meeting up with the expectations of other jurisdictions. They're too slow. They take too long. It's too expensive. There's too much red tape. It's too cumbersome. So we're taking a look to see, well, why is this? Why is it taking longer than other jurisdictions? They're hiring more people. Why is it taking longer? That's why we're taking a look at the mandate to see if they're fulfilling what their core functions are supposed to be. And so we've heard that these things, about these problems, and we're taking a look at the foundations to see what the problem actually is.
So to be clear, is it the time that's the issue or the approvals that's the issue? The time it takes to get to the approvals, or that we're not getting enough approvals? What's the...
It's the efficiency. It's the efficiency. They have a lot of people working there, and the timelines, we take 4 times as long as Texas, twice as long as Saskatchewan to get to non-routine approvals. Why is that the case?
We've also heard concerns on cost and where the AER is headed with their mandate. Again, Mr. Savage and I's point is not to identify every problem in the Alberta Energy Regulator at the moment. It's to fulfill the platform promise of our party, if we were to form government, to conduct a review of the AER, and this is the first step of that process.
Yeah, we're looking to find enhancements and improvements. We know after 6 years, it's time to take a look at it.
Why does the government always compare itself to Texas in terms of regulation when the two places are completely different?
Well, it's because capital doesn't have jurisdictional boundaries. We're trying to attract investment to create jobs. Investment goes to places that can provide the most efficient regulatory environment. So we look at Texas because Texas is taking jobs away from Alberta.
Are we missing out on stuff then as a result of this? Is that part of this as well, that people don't want to invest because it takes too long? If we're still getting to the same place, at the end of the day, is everyone not still satisfied with Alberta, or?
Well, of course, we're missing out on things when we're losing investment, or if investment goes to other jurisdictions because it's easier to, more timely to get a project up and running. We lose out on things. Albertans lose out on it. They lose out on it by losing employment or having to go to places like Texas to be employed instead of being employed in our own province. Our province loses out by the loss of revenue inside this province. So I think we lose out in big ways when we're not able to compete with other jurisdictions.
Has the AER already been instructed to start reducing costs at all? Is that happening now, or is that you're solely waiting on the results of this review to start doing that?
We'll be undertaking the review for that. We need to know where, before that happens, we need to know what their mandate is, to know what they should be focusing on, where they should be focusing their human resources and their core mandate. So that'll be that'll happen after the review.
How will the province uphold its environmental responsibilities with a leaner AER?
Well, first of all, nobody said anything about a leaner AER. What we said was we were going to conduct a review on the AER within the different scopes that Mr. Savage has spoken about. But our government has been clear. We believe that we can continue to develop our resources in an environmentally friendly way. And this review, that's part of it, is to continue to make sure that we have a regulator that has a foundation to be able to develop resources in an environmentally friendly way going forward, and about finding balance, and that still happens. And in the interim, while this process is going on, the AER is still doing its work. The review will not be dealing with day-to-day projects or day-to-day operations of the AER. They'll continue to do their work as the regulator in this province. While that team focuses on looking at the AER going forward as an organization, the teams that are in place already working as a regulator will continue to do their work.
Is there a scenario at the end of this where the AER is replaced with another body or something like that? Or is this just finding how to make the AER work the way that Albertans want it to?
We're looking for enhancements and improvements to the AER. In efficiencies, we're looking for structural foundational items on are they fulfilling their core mandate? And we need to know that before we can find those efficiencies and improvements.
Are there any issues with the core mandate? Is that being looked at as well, or?
Well, I guess where they were originally set up in 2013, their core mandate was to be around the safe, efficient, and environmentally responsible development of our oil and natural gas resources, oil sands, coal, and that was their core mandate. So we want to crack that open and take a look at it. Is that what they're doing? Is that what they're doing, or are they focusing on some things that go beyond the scope of what their mandate should be?
Is there a timeline on the review, like is someone heading the review, or?
Well, sure. So what the review is going to target some stakeholder roundtables. We want to hear from municipalities, from landowners, from industry, from communities, from Indigenous representatives. We want to hear from NGOs, academics. So we'll be having targeted roundtables over the next month and a half to hear from them. We'll be opening a website to hear so that anybody can give their input on what they think the core mandate, governance, and operations should be of the AER. And from that, we will have to analyze all of that and see where we can find improvements and enhancements.
Yeah, and just to build on that, what's happening is the process is starting, and we will be doing it right, but efficiently on our end. But we don't want to completely identify a timeline, because the timeline will be heavily influenced by the results of the review and what has to take place to be able to do it. And to take a position specifically on the timeline without the review being done and the information that comes from it is probably impossible.
Separately, there was an incident at the House of Commons where someone was tossed out of the Senate for wearing a I Love Canadian Oil and Gas shirt. What do you make of that particular incident?
I wore my I Love Oil Sands shirt yesterday. In response to that, I was tempted to wear it again today. I just don't know on what planet that we could find that wearing an I Love Oil and Gas t-shirt could be offensive. It's one of the, and frankly in Ottawa, oil and gas is what heats people's homes, what fuels people's cars, it's what fuels our economy. So it was, quite surprising.
Yeah, I'd say to hear that is shocking, that anybody could think to wear a shirt supporting our oil sands or our energy industry in any way would be offensive. Certainly not offensive. I know Minister Savage, myself, and all of our government is proud of our energy industry in this province. And I think, sadly, it shows that some people don't understand the benefit that the oil and gas industry provides not only in this province but to this country.
I have the whole collection of those t-shirts, the I Love Oil Sands, I Love Pipelines, and I Love Canadian Oil and Gas. I have all of them, plus I have a hoodie.
Just another unrelated question. The unemployment rate numbers are in, and it's about the same, but we've had some population growth, and I guess it turns out there's a lot of middle-aged older men who don't have work. So what is our government doing? Because I guess the assumption is they're laid off oil and gas workers. What is our government doing to retrain that population?
Well, first of all, just to back up to one of the earlier questions about what the consequences are when we get things like the AER wrong and we can't approve projects at the same timelines as our competitors, that is the consequence. And that's the consequence that we're trying to avoid. And so what our government is doing, this is one of the examples of that. We are going to continue to find the roadblocks that are stopping our industry from being able to succeed at the level that we know that it can to get people back to work. And that is our primary focus as a government, is we don't want to retrain people not to work in the oil and gas industry. We want to get our energy industry functioning at the highest level that it can and get our province back to work.
How much is this review going to focus on solely on just the performance of the AER, and how much is going to focus on basically how it compares with competing jurisdictions? I mean, how much outside of Alberta are you going to look during this review?
I think that'll depend on what the stakeholders provide for input. We'd be welcome to receive those types of comparisons in the written submissions and in the stakeholder roundtables. We want to hear input from all Albertans on anything related to the mandate, governance structure, and operations of the AER that they think is relevant.
Yeah, we're not predetermining any of this. We're having a robust consultation process. We'll hear what we hear, we'll get the facts, and then be able to come up with a plan going forward that's the best thing for this province.
I think we'll take one more question.
Can you give us an update on what's going on with the crude by rail situation?
Sure. So we're taking a look at the bids from the divestment process. That's underway right now. I think there was a very large interest in it. So we're taking a look at those. CIBC Markets is we've hired them to look after the divestment. The bids are in. They're taking a look at it. We should have an idea of what those bids look like. And know within September what it might look like.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.